Okay, there are some big changes coming to New World relatively soon. The Forged In Aternum Q&A has just launched and it's got some very interesting things in there. We're talking combat balance, gameplay changes, all kinds of good stuff. And I'll start off by going through it in order that they went through it, but I'll try and be a bit quicker. The first question is, why are they so slow at responding to the things that the community doesn't want or they want changing? And they say that they do them in the most important order that they think possible, and quite frankly some things just take longer than others. They're not intentionally ignoring the things that you think are important. They also have a discussion about bots, and they basically just say botting is a constant battle that they're constantly fighting. They don't want to give specifics because it would possibly help botters. Okay, let's move on to the really good stuff. Somebody asked about armor, you know, light, medium and heavy, and the basic gist is that they acknowledge that we are in a light meta, and what they want light to be is to do a lot of damage, sure, but not be as survivable as it currently is. So they're making some changes that are coming to the PTR. That PTR, by the way, I think is going to be this week. Some of the changes that they mentioned though are to resilient and shirking fortification, and this is where things get really spicy. Resilient and shirking fortification will be less powerful if you're wearing light armor. Nice. The whole gist here is to make it so that light is effectively like a glass cannon. You're going to do a lot of damage, but you're going to have to take care of playing, otherwise you're going to get blown up. And I think overall that's a positive change. A lot of light wielding melee players will probably be infuriated about it, but hopefully we can all find the right middle ground, which is probably medium for melee, light for range, and then heavy for tanks like heavy bruisers. I think we'd all be sort of okay with that. There'll be some people who are like, I really like dodging around the map a billion times. Yeah, but I don't think it's healthy for the game. So that's coming. And then something else, which we didn't know when was coming, but we knew they were working on it, is different colored AoEs. It looks like that's going to be coming in this PTR, so I'm sure everybody will be very excited to see that. And the next thing was about the roadmap and the lack of PvP content on there. They do say here that they are working on many unannounced things as well, and these unannounced things will include PvP. So they are not turning this game into a pure PvE focused game. They are still going to try and work with the PvP people and to entertain you. And me, because I actually like PvP more than PvE personally. I'm just not very good at it. However, in that regard, they say that they're not going to give it any specifics for another month. So I suspect when we get a dev update, probably in February, we're going to get some very juicy stuff. They also talk about on the PTR that there's going to be lots of balance changes when it comes to weapons and all that kind of stuff. We already did a video on that because there was a forum post where they basically give strong hints to what they were going to buff and nerf. So that's coming in this PTR. And they specifically, yet again, call out the musket, and that's probably going to get nerfed. The two ways that they're going to do that is that they're going to make it so that you're less accurate when moving, from what I can basically gather, and mortal empowerment is going to be getting nerfed. Pretty much everybody who doesn't play musket is breathing a sigh of relief upon hearing those changes. They yet again confirm that they are reworking the whole leveling experience. Basically the main story quest that ends up in Tempest Heart, that's going to be one continuous story. The next step is Weaver's Fen and Brightwood, then there'll probably be a zone or two that sends you into Tempest Heart, right? It's from what I can gather. That's coming before the end of this year. They also spoke about portals. When I say portals, I'm talking about corruption portals, otherwise known as darkness breaches. These are going to be getting changed. There's going to be less of them, but they're going to become more like events and be a bit more important. That's good. I can sort of imagine them being a bit more like, hey, let's get everybody together and go and do it, rather than just what we have now where they're not really that interesting. Then a big question that I know a lot of us are talking about, and that is the balance between PvE and PvP. We see some weapons, maybe like the Fire Staff, where it's good in Arena, but it's terrible in Expeditions. There's a whole like slew of examples there. I'm not going to go through them, but basically balancing for PvE and balancing for PvP is proving very difficult. So what are they doing about that? Well, number one, they acknowledge that it is a problem, and they say that it is difficult. Number two, they say that they are making changes, like the change to resilience. One thing that they're going to do in this PTR is going to make it so that the Bane of like Ancient Bane and stuff like that is more powerful for ranged weapons, essentially meaning that you'll do more damage in Expeditions if you have the right Bane weapon, which I'm perfectly okay with. I think that's fine. I mean, I still think they could just maybe make it so that it was just PvE Bane rather than specific Banes, but you know, we'll not talk about that right now. Another thing that they are going to do is remove element aversion from the mutations, because that's effectively making it so that element damage isn't getting used that much. Good changes there all around. I think that's actually really positive. They say there's more changes to come, but they're not giving details of that just yet. And then there were two like little points at the end. One, they can have dogs in the office because you can bring your dog to the office as long as it's a well-behaved dog. That's nice. And secondly, there will be no hippos in 2023, but beyond that, we may get hippos. Now, apparently that's a meme, but that meme has just completely gone by me. I didn't even know that was a meme. I don't know it's a thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm all for hippos. So yeah, pro hippo team. So yeah, let's recap. Some of the big ones there are really important. Light armor effectively going to be made more glass cannon, and I think that's the right decision. You should do a lot of damage, but it should also be that if you misplayed a little bit, you get punished. You shouldn't be so survivable playing light. I know they've made it not as powerful because once you get hit, you can't dodge as far and stuff like that, but it probably didn't go far enough. The changes to resilient and shirking fortification, meaning that they're less powerful on light, I think that's really a good step in the right direction. In fact, I think I might even mention that on live streams at some point where things should maybe scale depending on your armor value, and that would maybe like make it so that you can do things like that. Different colored AoEs, I mean, praise be, we've needed that for quite some time. It's interesting that they say that they're working on more PvP content without giving us details. Yes, they say it's going to be in a month, but why did they not put it on the roadmap? That's one of the questions you have to still ask, I think. The musket change, probably for the best. The story getting reworked, we sort of knew they were doing that. The changes to PvE and PvP, I like the fact that they're paying attention to it. We'll see how well their changes work. Overall, really good Q&A. Very excited to play the PTR. I'm guessing the PTR is coming this week, by the way. Probably get announced either tomorrow or Wednesday, and we'll be playing it by Thursday, I think. If you want all the insider news and knowledge about that PTR, I will definitely be checking out it in great detail. I'm slightly reworking this. I'm going to make it so you can either be a YouTube member or a Patreon. The links are probably in the description already. I'm also changing the tier names. Nothing fancy, but I just thought it would make more sense. But if you don't want to support me like financially like that, which is completely fine, do consider coming over and following me on Twitch. What you should definitely do though is have a most beautiful day, like and subscribe. Goodbye.